Hello everybody, it's Kim, and that little one over there is Autumn. We're out here in the rain picking some cherries so we can make some jam before the birds come and take all my cherries away. I had them covered, but it keeps blowing off, so we decided whether it's raining or not, we're going to come and pick them. This is what we got. Let's see, nice bowl of cherries there. That all came off of that one little bush. And then we're going to go in the house. I'm going to show Autumn how to take the pits out of it, and then we're going to make
jam.
Cherry jam. Stay tuned. We'll show you the next step. I'm going to show you how to take the pits out of the cherry. This is my cherry pitter here.
You take this cherry, you mush that thing down, take it off, and there's the pits of the cherry.
Yep.
Here's the cherry.
Yep. No. Okay, put it in the bowl. Use your other hand. There you go. That's okay.
Up in there.
Did it come out? If not, pull it out with your fingers.
There's 1, 2,
Well, that's
3,
okay.
4.
If you have to, you can feel it with your hands and make sure the
Here's
pits are
only
gone.
one out.
Okay. Yep. All right, she's going to continue doing these cherries until they're all done, and then we'll move on to the next step. I'm going to show you how you can do this if you don't have a cherry pitter. You need a straw. My hands are kind of... And you push down where the stem attaches, and you push through, and there you go. The pit comes right out.
Okay.
See if we can get a better view here. No, do one more so they can see better. I'm trying to get a better view. Okay. Where the stem attaches, you put your straw.
In the middle.
And then you push, and the cherry pit pops out the bottom. One more time. You take it where the hole, where the stem attaches. You put your straw there, and you just push it through. You can see the pit pops right out the other end, and your cherry no longer has a pit in it. Probably don't have to do it right on that spot, but that's how we do it. There you go, just like that. So while Autumn's using the cherry pitter, I can help out by using a straw. Job Autumn's doing, she's got that whole bowl done, and she's got those few to go, and then we'll move on to the next step. Yeah, that one's kind of gross. Set it aside, that's okay. There you go. We're going to get those all done. Then we're going to weigh them out and see how many we have. All right, our next step we're going to do is to measure out our cherries, because I need at least 2.5 pounds to get a full amount here. So I'm going to see what I have here. I wanted to get that started so I don't get all over the place. I'm hoping I have about 2.5 pounds. If not, I'll have to adjust the amount of sugar and the amount of pectin that we use. Okay, so I have, it looks like about 1.5 pounds. So at 1.5 pounds, I'm going to have to adjust how much sugar and how much pectin we're going to use. Normally, it's 2.5 to 3 pounds of cherries, about 5 cups of sugar, and 1 box of pectin. So this is going to be half of that. So we're going to cut our recipe in half. The next step I'm going to do is I want to blend these really well, because I like to have the chunks of cherry in my jam. Show Autumn all the things we're going to need in order to make our jam, okay? First thing we have the cherries that we took all the pits out and I put them in the Ninja because I like to have the chunks of the cherries. We're going to need just a tiny bit of butter. That's optional, but I like to use it. We're going to need a funnel to put the jelly in the jars, something to put it in with, so I use my ladle. This is called a jar lifter. It helps get the jars out of the hot water. This is a lid lifter that takes the lids and the rings out of the boiling water. Something to stir the jelly with. A measuring spoon because we're going to be using bulk pectin. I buy it instead of a small container. I buy it in a big container. We're going to need our sugar. This is organic cane sugar. And then we need just a touch of vinegar. But we don't put the vinegar in the jelly. We put it in our water. I have our jars in the water. They're getting warmed up and sterilized. And then you have to have a deep pan that we're going to boil the jelly in to can it. That has a little bit of vinegar in there. Do you know why we put the vinegar in there, Autumn?
No.
Because I have hard water and you can get this like white crust on the outside of your jars and sometimes inside, and it makes it so it doesn't do that. So if you don't have hard water, you don't have to use it, but I do here. And then of course we need a pan for our jelly. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to make our jelly right now. I did forget one item to show Autumn, and it's actually for fabric, but I use it to measure, it's going to be weird, head space. On this little corner here for jelly, it's not going to get in focus. For jelly, we need a 1/4 inch, so we're going to use that side right there. And I keep this, it's clean. I keep it in my jar with my drawer with all my jars and stuff so that we can measure the head space when we're ready for that. Okay, I have the water on to boil, and I have our jars in the water getting ready to boil. So the first thing we're going to do is take all of our cherries and try to get as much as we can because we want all that goodness, don't we? Right, Autumn? All that hard work, we definitely want all of our cherry stuff, right?
Yes.
So let me scrape this out really good. And Autumn's a little afraid because she knows that the jelly can spit at you. So when it gets hot, we're going to have her back up a little bit. Until then, she can come up closer. All right, we got as much of our cherry as we can. Now, we're going to slowly bring this up to temperature. I'm going to turn the heat on. And it's not going to get hot for a little bit. Remember, we're doing half, right? Because we didn't have enough cherries. And on my pectin, you need 6 tablespoons to equal 1 box. Do you know what half of 6 is? We only need half. If I have 6 and I take away half, how many goes away? And how many's left?
3.
Okay, so I need 3 tablespoons. That's half. Okay. So we're going to put 3 tablespoons, we're measured out carefully, of pectin into our cherries. Okay, and then I'm going to put this aside because I don't need it anymore. And I take one thing at a time out of my way so I don't have to, since my kitchen is small. Okay, and we take just a tiny dab of butter because what the butter does, it keeps the foam. Sometimes jelly can get foam on top. It keeps the foam from coming all over the top of the jelly. I don't mind it. Some people don't like it, but I think it tastes fine. No, you're fine. It's not even warm up yet, Autumn. I can let you stir this in real quick here. It's not hot. I would not do anything that would harm you. Let me find I should have got my whisk out. Here, let me move this out of your way. We'll come over here. Here, you whisk in all that pectin. Stir it in. See the white pieces in there? Can you stir those in so they get mixed in there really good?
Is it warm?
No, it's not even hot yet. It takes a long time to get hot. Okay, let me see. Let me see if we got them all in there. Looks like you did a good job, okay? We stirred in all that pectin. And now we're just going to let it come up to temperature, and you'll start seeing bubbles come up. When it starts to boil, then we have to add our sugar. So right now we're going to turn the camera off for a minute until this comes to a boil, okay? And we have our other water on ready to go, and we have our jars ready to go, right?
Yes.
Okay. I almost forgot something important here, and it's optional. Do you know what optional means? What does optional mean?
I don't know.
You don't know? Optional means you can use it if you want to, that you don't have to. But usually when people put it in there, it's a good idea to do that. We're going to add, because this is what's called low pectin fruit, we're going to add a teaspoon of lemon juice to the cherries. It helps them make better jam that way. Okay? It's going to start boiling here. See how it got a little bit of foam on top?
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't like that in their jelly. Honestly, I think I got so much foam because of the way I blended them. But I actually like the foam. I eat it on toast. So when we're done, if we have a lot, we can skim the foam off, and we can eat it on some homemade bread later on toast. So we're going to let this come up to a good boil, what they call a rolling boil. That means when I stir it like this, you can still see the bubbles come up.
Is there a flashlight on so they can see it better?
Yep. All right, this is what we call a full rolling boil. See how Grandma's stirring it and it's not going away?
I smell that sugarness.
Yeah, you can smell the cherries. Do you see how it's bubbling and the bubbles stay there? Now is when we add all of our sugar. Okay, I'm going to pour it all in at one time. We already have the pectin and the cherries and the lemon juice in there. And now we're going to turn it into jam when you add the sugar. So we're going to melt all that sugar in there really good. Right now it's got a few lumps in there, so we got to let it all melt in. Then I'm going to bring it to that full rolling boil again, and I'm going to boil it for at least 1 whole minute, okay? And we'll show everybody what that looks like when we get there, right? See how our jelly's boiling now? Really good. I've got the sugar in there, and it's boiling. This is called a full rolling boil, right? What does that mean again?
Full rolling boil.
What does that mean? That means I can't make those bubbles stop when I'm stirring it. So now I have to stir it for at least 1 minute. Or if I used a thermometer, to 220 degrees. So if people are not sure, they can always put a thermometer in there at 220 degrees. Or 8 degrees over their boiling temperature. Some people that live in different areas, their water boils at a different temperature, but in Michigan, it boils at 212 degrees. So we're going to let this boil, okay?
Okay.
I forgot to turn the video on, or it went off by itself. So what I did was I took the jars out of that hot liquid, because you will always want to put hot liquid into hot jars, or you can break them. You go all that work, you end up breaking your jars, and you're going to be really sad because you won't be able to eat your jelly. So I'm going to fill them up to not all the way. It's going to be a little less than the 1/4 inch, because I'm going to use a spoon after we measure it. And we're going to see, and all of our extra is going to go in this jar so we can eat it later. Now, where did my measure thing go? Hand me that blue measure thing back there.
Where?
Right there. See it? That little, no, right here. Right here. All right, now we have to look at the 1/4 inch, right? That's the small one. And looks like we're below on everything, so I can add a little jelly to everything. I always do a little bit less because it's easier to add to it than it is to take it out. So I'm going to get a spoon, and I'm going to add some to each jar. It's already starting to set up nice. Get my ladle out of the way here. Oh, that's going to be so delicious, Autumn. Oh my goodness. Here, hold on to this. Don't lick it yet, but hold it because you want it to cool down, but you can lick the jelly off the ladle in a minute. after it cools. Don't touch it while it's hot. It will burn you.
Is it still hot?
It's going to be hot until I'm done with this, so hold on to it. I don't want you to get burned. That would hurt. Syrup is hotter than boiling water, and this is kind of like a syrup right now. I'm going to fill it.
It's cooling down, though.
It cools down pretty quick in there. All right, I think I got an extra jar that I didn't think I would get, so that's a good thing, right? Let's see, that one needs a little bit more. All right, that looks good. Well, that's where it's going to be, and I'm going to save this pan. Here, set that in there, and we're going to let it cool, and then we can lick the jelly out of the pan. Okay, now we have to do another important step, so hold on. Okay, the next really important step is to take a paper towel and you wipe off. I put some vinegar on it, and I wipe off the rims, the top of the jars, because if you have any jelly on there, if you spilled any, it could make it so that the seal doesn't work, and then the jam will go bad, and then you won't be able to eat it because it would get moldy. So we don't want moldy jelly. We want to be able to eat it, right? So I'm going to wipe these off, and then we'll get ready to put the lids on. Okay, our next step is going to be to put the lids on. Let me get this a little bit closer. I don't have to reach. And I'm going to use this thing. It gets my lids out of the hot water. And we put our lid on. And put it on each jar. I shake off the extra water, but you don't have to worry too much. And then I'm going to get my rings out. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lid on like this, and let me put my hand out of the way. It's called finger tight. You don't want to crank it really hard. I'm just going to put it a little bit like that. I'm not twisting it super hard. I just put it on like that. And then we're going to put them in the canner, and they're going to boil for 10 minutes before we take them out, okay? Got our jelly out of the canner, and you didn't get to hear it, but we just heard our first two lids pop. So they're sealing themselves up. We're going to let it cool. Oh, there goes one. That's the best sound on the planet when you're canning. And after it cools down, I think we're going to have some toast and jelly for dessert. What do you think?
Yay! And maybe put some of
Do a taste test for us and let us know how it tastes.
Tastes good.
Tastes like cherries?
Yes. When it's from a sour cherry bush.
And it's not sour anymore, is it?
Yes.
All
add
right.
Sugar.
Yep. How many thumbs up do you think? Thumbs and toes? All right.
Keep subscribing to my grandma's channel and give her thumbs up.